Some are calling it a tax bombshell. Others are calling Donald Trump a genius. Of course, we're referring to a copy of the candidate's tax return sent to a New York Times reporter. The 1995 tax return shows a loss of $916 million, which means Trump may not have been required to pay federal taxes for nearly 2 decades. And it's all legal within our federal tax code. Well, joining me now is Professor Richard Pomp from UConn's School of Law. Thanks so much for being here, Professor. So politics aside here, everything this tax return indicates is perfectly legal?
Well, we don't really know. Chances are a net operating loss of that magnitude was audited by the IRS. There may not have been any criminal evasion, but he may have taken aggressive positions, but presumably that was worked out on audit. Brilliant is not the word I would describe. This is a fairly mundane, rather transparent, long-standing provision to be able to carry forward a loss that you have. Startups in Silicon Valley make use of it. Young professionals getting started in a business make use of it because maybe first or second year they have more expenses than their income. I mean, what's surprising about this is the magnitude. I think everyone following this saga knew he had losses. There were documents filed with the New Jersey casino regulators suggesting that, but those were redacted, so we never knew the magnitude.
Yeah, we're talking about nearly $1 billion here. So are you saying this is a tax law that's sort of raised questions in the past?
Not really.
No.
Because this net operating loss has been around. It's a mundane provision. It basically says we shouldn't look at you in isolation 1 year at a time. We should look at you over time. What's raised questions, I think, for me and those in the tax field is the disconnect between his public persona as a mogul, as a brilliant investor. And then we finally see he's lost $916 million. Not exactly, despite what Giuliani and Christie might say, this is not brilliant, nor is the use of a net operating loss brilliant. This is not an obscure provision known only to Donald Trump and a handful of lawyers and accountants. This is a well-known provision. But I'll tell you the real disconnect, I thought, came in the New York Times article about his accountant, this fellow Mitnick, who's retired in Florida, who said that unlike Fred, the father, Donald was rather undisciplined when it came to wanting to know about taxes. He was brash and undisciplined. And his wife, Ivana, asked many more questions than Donald Trump did. Again, that's sort of a disconnect from the public image. I'm a man who knows every nook and cranny, and I'm going to change the system. You might note that one of his tax proposals is not to do away with the net operating loss. So.
As a tax expert, what do you think the bottom line is for Trump, the candidate here?
Well, I think that remains to be seen. His supporters aren't going to care less. Hillary's supporters aren't going to care less. So the question is, will it affect the undecided or will it affect the millennials who seem not interested in voting? So will those minds be changed by this?
All right. Professor Pomp, thank you so much for your insight today. We sure appreciate it. All right.